Jen, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
That's fine. I just put do not disturb on. I thought it might mute me as well. So, okay.
Okay, Chairman, we're live now.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining the meeting tonight. This is our second last meeting from this year. Last one before all the councillors and the council is dissolved, and so I just want to make you aware of it. Things will be changing soon. Right, first item on the agenda is declaration of interest. Do we have any interest? Anyone that you need to declare? No, I'll take that as no. Jen, can I take apologies, please? Can I fit that in before going to public question time?
Yeah.
Apologies.
Julie Anderson.
Councillor
Councillor Mrs. Kathleen Shaw, Pendleborough Council.
Is now joining.
Chairman, I've got a message from Councillor Mcgowan. I'm not sure. No, he's on. He's fine.
Okay. So just Councillor Julie Henson and Councillor Ashton Mahmood. Yeah, that's fine. Public question time. We've got Peter Durst with us. Very nice to see you, Peter.
Nice to see you, but I can't see you. I know you're there. Must be there somewhere.
Right. No worries. Peter, you've got a maximum of 15 minutes. You can ask us anything you want. You are here, so obviously.
It won't take that long. I want to make sure I'm sort of speaking to the right committee, really. It's not a question as such. I want to know if you can help with a resolution of a potentially really bad planning problem related to Bradley. Well, briefly, I'm Peter Durst. I'm from the Bradley Community Land Trust, and whether you know or not, we got permission off the council to build some houses on the Bradley Road site. They're all completed. They've been sold and we're ready for people to move in. But we've just had something that's happened in the last 2 days that may taint our whole development. We've had somebody erect a fence across the rear of all our dwellings. The dwellings there's a strip of land behind it. It's probably about 1/10 of an acre. And it's a nice piece of land. Nobody knows what it belongs to. It is unregistered, so there's no legal owner, and if we could have done, we'd have purchased it ourselves. Somebody is claiming to have purchased it, which we doubt. They've put a big fence up containing the area and the steel gate. They're planning to tarmac it and to sell cars from there. Are you aware where it is? It's on Queen Street, behind Beach Street. And it's adjacent to Throstle Nest Mill. It's right next to the gardens of the houses that we've just sold. It's not something we want our new purchasers to be sat next to, a car lot. That is the issue. We want to know if we think that is somebody just doing a speculative land grab, a bit like they did in the Wild West. But this is in Bradley. You can't just go and enclose a piece of land and claim it without the proper authority, and we think the proper authority is doubting. There's no planning permission as far as we can ascertain. We've only had time to talk to the council today. They're looking into it. We just want to make sure that it's going to be looked at really carefully. We do not want a car lot right next to our house. In fact, in the whole of that area, it's a residential area. We don't want, there's enough car lots in the whole of, we're awash with car lots. So really, we could do with really looking at and the planning department to have a good look at it and squash it before it gets any farther. If they do progress and tarmac it, there's a flooding risk because it goes right down to the bottom of Throttlenest Mill, and it was already an issue when we were building our houses. We had to make sure the ground surface was permeable, so we're very concerned about it. The main thing is we just want them to make sure the council can fully investigate it, and hopefully they can resolve it before it goes any farther. And that's all I have to say. I don't know if anybody has any questions about it, but it's a big concern to the residents in the area.
Thank you very much, Peter, for bringing this to our attention. First of all, this is the right place where you brought it up.
Right.
And I see Councillor Iqbal he has his hand raised up. So, Councillor Iqbal, you want to come in?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm grateful to Peter for coming to the meeting this evening. He contacted me earlier today in respect to this land, and I can confirm that I'm liaising with planning colleagues to take urgent action to identify what's going on and put a stop to it immediately. So I'll contact Peter in due course, hopefully tomorrow.
Right, that's fine. That's all I want to know. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you, Peter.
I'll leave the meeting now. I don't need to. That's all I need to know. Cheerio.
Okay, then. So, next item on the agenda we've got is minutes. Anybody have any concerns with the meeting or minutes of the last meeting?
Mr. Chairman.
Right. I suppose silence means everybody is happy with that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that, Iqbal. Progress report. Item 4. Is everyone happy with the progress report?
Yeah, move it, Chairman.
Okay. Thank you. Next item is police issues. I believe we have Lorna Bolton with us today. Lorna, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Right, it's all yours. Go for it then.
Hi, I've had a chat with Holly. Holly's one of my most amazing PCSOs. She's asked me to attend this meeting on her behalf, and she's given me some updates to give for yourself and some requests. So first of all, she mentioned she's doing an operation, and it's all to do with untaxed and vehicles with no MOT in the Nelson area. She has asked that if any of your constituents or yourselves see any of these vehicles, then to send her the details and she can collate them. What she really needs is the vehicle registration number, the location of the vehicle or where it's been seen, and a time and a date. She's going to be working with people like VOSA and DVLA to try and clamp down on the uninsured no MOT vehicles. So that's the first thing she's asked. She's given me an update. She says an issue was raised about parking, obstruction parking on Pendle Street and Carr Road. She's been down there herself, as has other PCSOs, and at the time that they've been down, they've not seen any obstructions. Obviously, we will keep an eye on that area, and if it becomes a problem, then we'll take positive action. But when they've been down, they've not seen any obstructions. She's asked me to give you a bit of an update regarding a different project we've got on the go that I've been talking to some other councillors about, and that is the antisocial behaviour linked to driving within Nelson. We're planning quite a large operation, which will take weeks, if not months, to develop, working with all the partner agencies. We're not looking at a quick fix to catch these drivers, give them a telling off or give them a ticket and send them on the way. We're looking at a more permanent solution. Nelson seems to be plagued with antisocial driving, including speeding, drug taking, littering, and loud exhausts, loud music. So we want to do something that solves the problem rather than just delays the problem or moves the problem elsewhere. So we're looking at a big operation linked to education, road furniture, posters, speed bumps, targeting the area, positive police action. So that's something that we're just looking at now. We're collating all the information now by various means so that we can plan this operation properly. We haven't got a magic wand, but we'll certainly do our best to try and sort this problem out for your residents, because I believe it's one of the top problems that we've been told about. Another PCSO, Shaq, has asked me to mention he predominantly is foot patrol in our town centre in Nelson. And he has mentioned to me that there seems to be a lot of littering, people feeding pigeons, things like that in the town centre. And every time he's on shift, he does a patrol. And as yet, he's not seen a litter warden in the town centre. So his question was, I don't know if anybody can pass it up or answer it, do we have wardens that look after the littering problem in Nelson? And if we do, when do they work? And is there any way we can sort of get to meet them and have a chat with them and see if we can get our heads together to try and sort this problem? So I'm not sure if I'm talking to the right audience or whether I'll have to go direct to the council, but I just wondered if anybody knew anything about wardens or littering wardens in Nelson.
Can someone help Lorna with that? I'm not aware of any wardens at the moment.
No, it doesn't surprise me because every town's different. But what I'll do is I'll contact Tim Horsley, who's a bit like our liaison with the council, and see if he can provide any information. It's like everything else. If you've got a tidy town, then everything else falls into place. So I'll have a word with Tim about that one. Another thing I've been asked about, and again, I'm not sure if you'll be able to help us on that, and it's about complaints about the muggers being used at the minute, even during COVID. And it was a case of, are you aware whether or not the council or the councillors yourself, whether the muggers should be open and used or whether they should be all be closed during this time? And again, I didn't know if there was a policy from the councillors.
Councillor Zafar, can I ask you to chip in here, please?
Yeah, more than happy to do so. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Lorna. In regards to the muggers and play areas, the sites are owned by Nelson Town Council, and therefore all sort of decision making in relation to the muggers is within their remit. We made a decision back in, I think it was August or September, to keep the multi-use games areas and play areas. In fact, it might have gone back to July when that original decision was considered, to keep them closed, and we haven't changed that decision as of now. We have, taken at the expense of the town council certain measures to try and restrict the use of the play areas and the multi-use games areas. You might have seen yourself, there's fencing, mesh fencing in some areas. There's clear signage on the sites, but unfortunately it's then led to people helping themselves to the mesh fencing, taking down signage, and just basically turning a blind eye to our requests for the sites not to be used. We have brought this to the attention of the local policing team in the past. In the past, to try and have regular patrols of these zones, and we're more or less at the back end of the government's sort of route to reopening of the country. So I don't know, what if anything is going to sort of help the situation, but ultimately, in effect, we made a decision as a town council to not open the sites to control the spread of COVID, given that back in July going into August, it was the case of younger members of families taking home COVID and spreading it amongst the families, and obviously the elders in the family as well. And so that was a decision that was made. The rest is in the police force's hands. We would like there to be regular patrols, and for people to and for the message to be reiterated to the users of multi-use games areas and play areas. The issue that we have, of course, is that the government has allowed that one daily exercise, which there's been previous stories about how far and wide you can go to have your daily exercise. So we're sort of fighting an uphill battle on that front. But yeah, I hope that answers your question.
No, it does. It's a real challenge for us. We're trying so hard to patrol these areas, but a lot of it, which is the challenge, it's just children, and it's very difficult to stop children playing. But no, that's fine. Like I said, we just wanted a bit of clarity around that, so that's perfect. So basically, that was the questions and updates from my team. Have you got anything that you want to ask me or anything you want to put forward to me?
Definitely one from myself. Can I just ask first, Councillor Ahmed, do you want to come in? I don't see your hand up now. Oh, it's there, sorry.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Just a quick point about, just referring to the point raised about the vehicle and antisocial behaviour and people driving fast and loud cars and etc. Absolutely delighted to hear that some action will be taken regarding that. I just want to ask specifically in terms of, maybe I've missed it, but when that's likely to start, that scheme, and how long that will stay on for. Is it going to be an ongoing thing, or is it just like a short term during the summer months? That's the first question.
We're looking at, we've started basically we're scanning now and we're doing the analysis part. From a longevity point of view, we want to make sure that whatever we put in place, we can maintain it. Because a lot of things in the community, you'll start a project, it'll be successful in the first 3 weeks, and then it just falls by the wayside. We don't want that to happen. So what we're doing first, we're doing what we call a scanning phase. We're looking at police logs. I've sent out messages in the know. I've been talking to councillors. I've been lots of interaction with residents to find out where the dangerous roads are, where the accidents are, where the nuisance drivers are. That phase is almost finished and we've had some excellent results. So now we're doing the analysis stage, and it's not just about the area. The bigger question is why? Why are these young people choosing, and it is predominantly Nelson and these certain streets, why are they in these certain streets? Why are they behaving in the way that they're doing it? And we're getting some excellent results back from that as well. And it is a lot of it is around criminality. A lot of it is the board at home. A lot of it is kudos. My car's better than your car. My car's louder than your car. There's a whole raft of reasons. The stage that we're in at the minute to fully understand this issue is why. Why are they doing it? Once we can understand the different elements to that, then we can put a plan together, targeting a variety of different things. So my hope is March is going to be predominantly analysing it. But by the end of March, I want a plan that I can do an operation going into April. And it might be that we do a full week long, getting resources from traffic, from our task force, and absolutely hammer Nelson with education, stopping vehicles, ticketing where necessary. We're looking at doing a media campaign. So some sort of campaign where we will talk to the residents, or I've got a PCSO in mind that's happy to do this. We're looking at going into schools. We're looking at going into the college. But it's going to be long term, and it's not going to be something that happens overnight. But I'm hoping by the end of March, we'll be in a position to get things started for you.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think you're right. I think a lot of it is to do with education and changing the mindset and having the right role models for these young people. But a lot of it is to do with criminality, unfortunately. It's a massive issue in terms of the drugs that's out here in across Nelson and Pendle, which is a massive issue. But just going on to the second point in terms of the multi-use games area, I went past the Victoria Park play area yesterday, and it was absolutely packed. Like I'm sure it was in most of the parks, not just here, just in Nelson, but I think it's only fair to say some of the media coverage I've seen across the country in these places where people have turned out in the thousands, and there's no social distancing going on. I do get it. I do understand people are fed up, and it was nice weather, and kids want to get out particularly, which is totally understandable. And I think we human beings, we do get it. But at the same time, I think there has to be some sort of responsibility to go along with it to make sure we can get this virus, keep it under control. And the sooner we do that, the sooner we get out of it.
I think that my PCSO raised it with us because he was working. There was only 2 in at the weekend out for the whole of Nelson, and him and Holly, Shaq and Holly's gone to a park to investigate. And when they've got there, there's hundreds of people there. How can 2 PCSOs possibly police that? It's impossible for them, and it's not fair to ask. So I think they fell out on a limb. It's an impossible situation. You've got hundreds of people in the park and only 2 PCSOs. You know, they couldn't give out any tickets because as soon as you went to one group, they ran off. As soon as you went to another group, they ran off. And it was just hard work.
Yeah, it's impossible. I understand. Yeah.
So we try.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
No worries. Is there any more questions from anybody?
Saki, you muted.
Sorry, I was telling everyone else to mute. I was muting myself. Anybody? Any questions to Lorna?
Yeah, Chairman, can I speak, please?
Go ahead. Go on.
Yeah, Chairman, first of all, thanks, Lorna, for the update in terms of the antisocial driving issue. But, Chairman, I think if you recall back to early last year, before the pandemic started, yourself and Councillor Zafar Ali had a meeting with the Police and Crime Commissioner. And if you remember when he came to Nelson and Bradfield, this was an issue that you two raised with him specifically on behalf of Nelson councillors. But, Lorna, this is not just a Nelson issue. This is a countrywide issue, but specifically in terms of Pendle, because I'm just slightly worried that Nelson is getting tarnished here, but because the issue has been, and this has been highlighted at full council meetings, where some of these boy races start off in Laneshire Bridge and have a race all the way through to Burnley because it's a straight road and try and have races there. So if there's targeted action, it needs to be Pendle wide, because if you talk to Barnoldswick councillors, they'll ask for the same. The Corn councillors will, Briarfield councillors will, as well as Nelson. So we're grateful. The only thing that I'd flag up is that you're talking about education, which absolutely I applaud and I endorse that as leader of the council. But where there's criminality involved, I, as a Nelson councillor, and I'm sure I echo what my colleagues are saying, we made this point to the Police and Crime Commissioner last year, was in terms of criminality, they're past the state of education. There needs to be a zero-tolerance attitude adopted by the police. As far as the council are concerned, we're happy to support you in terms of that, both in terms of publicity and action. But where you guys know who the criminals are who are operating these high-powered cars, and if that means you taking them off the road on day one, then you have my support as leader of the council and every other councillor in Pendle. Where the education needs to happen, absolutely happy to work with you. But, Chairman, I think your efforts and Councillor Zafar Ali's efforts have paid off over a period, and really grateful to see that this is coming to fruition. And absolutely, in terms of the council support, Lorna, I can pledge to you as leader of the council our full support in terms of your actions.
Fantastic. Just on that, I'm just one CBM that's taken the lead on this. What we plan to do is, if you like, for want of a better word, if this model works in Nelson, then of course we're going to roll it out throughout Pendle. But I haven't got the time, the resources to do the whole area in one go for a project that might not work. So we're focusing on Nelson because, quite brutally honest with you, I am the CBM for Nelson. I am your local officer. And the minute I started 2 months ago, less than 2 months ago, that was the problem that was highlighted to me. So for me to get my teeth stuck into it, I need to focus on Nelson because that is my passion, that is my area. But you are right, it has to be rolled out wider for it to have an actual full impact. As for the criminality and education, again, that's why we're looking at a multi-staged approach. We know that you get some young people just getting involved where the education might make a difference. But we also know there's hardened OCG organised crime groups that are running these vehicles and funding these vehicles. So the antisocial driving covers a wide spectrum of different people, different personalities and different reasons. Hence the reason we're spending virtually a whole month on the analysis aspect to get to the root problem. And there will be, once I've done an operational order, there could be 10 different recommendations that I come up with targeting every possible group. But 100%, this project could lead the way to bigger and bolder things when it comes to organised crime groups. That's why my Andy Ainsworth, my inspector, is fully supportive of getting our drugs task force involved, as well as TAC Ops, which is the specialist traffic officers. Us on community, I'm not naive enough. We are, me as a community officer, my job is keeping the community safe, whether it be from a 17-year-old lad with a noisy exhaust or whether it be a 40-year-old man who's running an organised crime group. We're trying, a little bit ambitious, but we want to capture every aspect of this antisocial driving.
Thank you for that, Lorna. Can I ask Councillor Zafar Ali to come in first?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Thank you for allowing me to come back in on the same point. Lorna, once again, I just want to pay tribute to yourself and your colleagues. I know you're doing an absolutely fantastic job. You've also appeared in front of colleagues on Nelson Town Council, where you've obviously heard from the likes of myself, Councillor Saqib, and also Sheila Wicks in relation to various different issues across the town of Nelson. I raised at the last meeting the issues up and down Chapel House Road going towards Halifax Road, which I'm sure you're acutely aware of when it comes to the issue of antisocial behaviour, in particular involving vehicles. And as Councillor Saqib pointed out at the last town council meeting, that these are stretches of roads because they don't have speed calming measures. These lads are just flying, as Councillor Iqbal has pointed out, literally from Laneshaw Bridge all the way to top end of Burnley. I think it is important also, Lorna, I know it's probably at the back of your mind as well, and colleagues at the town council are trying to do their bit to get the In the Know project, which you guys have brought about, which is a brilliant function of the constabulary to try and bring the conversations together for residents of Nelson, as well as obviously councillors and representatives of the community. And I think I'd like to take this opportunity again and use this forum to the many people who are probably watching us on YouTube as well, to bring them in the know with the Lancashire Constabulary's initiative in terms of trying to engage with residents as best as we can, because it's sometimes we do get and a lot of times we do get complaints from residents about these type of issues, and sometimes some people feel a bit isolated, they don't reach out, but I think it's important to highlight the initiative by the constabulary and trying to get as many people signed up to your.
On my behalf, I've put out 2 appeals for my project on In the Know, and I've had some phenomenal responses. The communities are really getting involved in this, and I know Holly's running, she's got her own little project about the littering, and she's had some excellent responses on In the Know as well. We're only as good as the communities that we work within, and when they're willing to help and support the police, it makes my job so much easier. Just on the calming measures, Chapel House Road is now with Halifax Road on our list to keep an eye on. Holly has been working with the council to get mobile speed bumps, and what that is these speed bumps basically just screw into the road and they can go down for a certain length of time, see how they work. But the great thing about them is you can move them around. So she's already got 3 streets identified. So this is pretty important. So if any of your councillors have any specific streets, she's very limited resource-wise. Obviously, we can't put them in the whole of Nelson, but if there's any specific streets that you've got concerns about, email Holly direct and she will put it on her list to have a look at to see if we can put the temporary road calming measures in. Okay, but I've got Chapel House is already on my list from the last meeting we had.
Thank you, Lorna.
Brilliant.
Thank you, Councillor Zafar Ali. Councillor Neil Mcgowan, do you want to speak?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hello, Lorna.
Hi.
Hi. Basically, just want to echo what Councillor Mohammed Iqbal has mentioned in regards to the support with the council. I've been working with Holly, as you most probably have known, in regards to speed options and one thing or another for areas, the ones you was on about that screw into the floor. We have identified some places, but there was one issue that I was wondering if you can help with. I've spoken to the Lancashire County Council ticket officers in regards to a problem that I have within the Marsden ward. Recently on Glenfield Road, we've removed a bus shelter that's no longer used because it was part of the Marsden Park circular, but unfortunately people have decided to use it as a parking area for their cars. And I spoke at great lengths with this ticket officer, and he says there's nothing he can do. I would need to bring it up with the police. Is there anything you can help with?
It depends who owns the land, to be honest with you. If it's right, vehicle parking, is it on a footpath or does it obstruct a footpath, first of all? We need to ascertain where the area it is. What I'm probably better doing is going up and actually having a look at the locality myself. So it's the old, it was a bus stop. Bus stop's been removed, bus shelter's been removed, and now residents are parking in that area. Right. I'm probably better having a bit of a look just to get my bearings around it before I offer any advice. It's a fine line between what the council's got responsibility for and what the police has. So I definitely have to have a look at that one if that's okay.
Yeah, well, what I can do is I can send you a photograph of the area and with cars parked there, if that's any help.
That would be a massive help. It saves us going up there. That would be fantastic. Just on that point, has everybody got my email address or do you want me to pass it now? I don't know if it can go in the minutes.
Lorna, if you just email me or I'll get it off Holly, then I'll send it round to members rather than putting it on the call.
That's great. Right, I'll get Holly to do it because she's a good lass like that. Right.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Jen,
that's great.
Is there any more hands up? I can't see anybody's hand up.
No, Chairman, no. That's it now.
All right, Lorna, thank you very much for attending the meeting and giving us the update. Yeah, very much appreciated.
No worries.
Thank you.
Everybody. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye. Item 6, members, is planning applications. First application in front of us is for the 3-story building or police station on old fairground. They are going to be putting up a mast as well, which is going to be 45 meter high. 45 meters is roughly 15-story high. It is down for approval. I'm not sure why it is with us, unless neighbours or somebody have objected to it. Alex, do you want to give us any update on this? Any reason why it's with us?
Yes, Councillor. This was delegated for approval from October's committee, subject to the objections of Lancashire County Council, Highways and the Lead Local Flood Authority and Environment Agency being resolved. The drainage issues are fully resolved. The highway safety matters are. However, Lancashire County Council have requested a number of contributions, which would one of them which would be £600,000 towards bus services and bus stops. The developer, the police have come back to say that that would make the development unviable. And our position is that the National Planning Policy Framework requires that we can't impose contributions that would make a development unviable. So our recommendation is to approve it without that £600,000 contribution. There would still be contributions towards provision of traffic lights and road alterations, but not the bus services and bus stops.
Councillor Iqbal.
Yes, thank you for that, Chairman, and thanks, Alex, for the update. Chairman, Alex is right that in terms of the October meeting, we approved the application and delegated grant consent. I mean, my view is that the County Council have been quite unreasonable in terms of such a significant contribution for something that they should be paying for. And I think what they're trying to do, and it doesn't surprise me in the slightest looking at the County Council over the last few years, is that they will try and stuff any other developers to do things. And the worry that I've got is that, I mean, you're aware, Chairman, that as a council, we've literally had to fight against other councils to get this application here. I'm pleased that it's here, and I'd like to put on public record the appreciation to the Police and Crime Commissioner for his efforts in meeting with myself and the Chief Executive at an early stage. So I'm happy to move the recommendation as proposed by the officers.
Councillor Nadeem Ahmed.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, we've already approved this, but obviously there was a couple of outstanding issues, which is the reason why it's come before us again. Just a couple of quick points and questions for the planning officer, please. In terms of the flooding issue, I know there was concerns about flooding previously, and which is the reason why I think it's come back to us before, because as you've stated, these issues have now been resolved. One point I'd like to make out is in terms of the report itself, it doesn't really go into any great detail in terms of the flooding issue. It doesn't explain. I know the conditions refer to the flooding issues, but the report itself doesn't. Is there any reason for that? Through you, Chair. That's the first question.
Alex, please.
The reason for that is that those matters were delegated to the planning manager to determine. They have been acceptably resolved, where the only issue that hasn't been acceptably resolved, that wasn't delegated, is the highway matters in relation to the contribution. That's why that's there.
Right, okay. Yeah, I understand that. But in terms of it saying the issues have been addressed, so how them issues been addressed, what's been put in place, or what's been stated in terms of reports or the feedback that's come back from, I don't know, the environmental agencies, for example, that says now it is viable and they can develop on the site, that is no longer an issue?
There were further technical reports that were submitted and assessed by the Lead Local Flood Authority and the Environment Agency, and they withdrew their objections and have suggested conditions which are proposed to be attached. So that's fully. I can't go through it's a detailed technical matter, so it's not something that I'd be able to go through in detail, but it's resolved in their responses.
Right. And secondly, just in terms of the financial contribution that's been asked for, the Section 106 agreement, can them agreements be changed at this stage? Or could we put a condition on to say they have to do something else? Or is it too late for that now?
No, it would have to be done. We can't change it following the determination of the application.
So in terms of
we have to determine that at this stage.
Yeah. The only reason I was going to say something, I know if they're not willing to provide that sort of money in terms of the highway improvements, could we ask them to make an agreement for recreational facilities or something of that nature? Is that possible?
No, because it wouldn't be. It can only be something that is directly related to the development and to the harm. So in this case as well, as well as it not being viable, our view is that it's the impact on the bus services isn't directly related to what's being asked for in terms of how the building would operate and how staff would access the building. So so we wouldn't be able to put that into something else. No.
Yeah, and another point. Sorry, just it's a good thing that you've raised the point in terms of the bus services. I know in terms of the staff, most likely the staff are probably going to come in their own cars, etc. I think that's the point that's being made. But there are issues. I know there's a bus route. I mean, to be honest, I haven't got big concerns surrounding that, to be honest. But I think there is still an issue in terms of, for example, if members of the public wanted to come in person. I don't know if that's going to be, or will it be just be online or on the phone, or how it's going to operate. But if someone wanted to come to the site and they don't have access to a vehicle, potentially that could be an issue. Was that part considered in terms of how the public would use the facility there?
It's not something that I've been directly involved with. If that's not, as far as I'm aware, covered in the report.
Yeah.
However, like I say, there are two elements to it. It's the fact that it's simply not viable.
Yeah, but yeah,
they've shown that.
Yeah. I mean, the contribution sounds like a lot of money. The 600,000, it does. But just going back to the recreational part, because I know you're saying it's not directly linked, but could we, as a council, argue in terms of we are losing a recreational site, which is what it was, an open space, and to compensate or give something back, we can get some money to put it towards the park across the road?
This is from a planning point of view, there isn't recreational space being lost. It's something that it's a private site that could be it's not a public site. It was previously public open space, but it has been removed from the register of public open space. So in any case, it's not something that this application was previously delegated for approval, and this will be introducing a new matter.
Yeah, no, I understand. I'm just asking the question. I thought if it is possible, if there's something that would benefit the community, that we could do it, but it's fine. That's fine. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Iqbal?
No, it's all right, Chairman. I'm fine.
Right. We've got a proposal to approve this by Councillor Iqbal. I'll second that from the Chair. All those in favour of the application for approval? Jane, do you want to call the names out, please?
Yes, I can do, Chairman. Okay, before the application, please say for if you're against. Councillor Adam?
For.
Councillor Ahmed?
For.
Councillor Ali?
For.
Councillor Amma?
For.
Councillor Ansar? Oh, she's not here. Apologies. Councillor Aslam? You're muted, Councillor Aslam.
Abstain.
Councillor Cooney?
Abstain.
Councillor Henderson? No, she's not here. Councillor Iqbal?
For.
Councillor Mcgowan?
For.
Councillor Saqib?
For.
Councillor Shaw?
For.
Councillor Tennant?
For.
Councillor Wicks?
For.
That's 10 for and 2 abstentions.
That's carried. Thank you, Jane. Next application is for single-story rear extension at 45 Manor Street, Nelson. It is 4 meter deep, and I'm just not sure why it's down for refusal, because it's only 4 meter deep, and we do allow 4 meter extensions. Alex, do you want to come in?
You've got
Chairman, you've got a speaker on this one. The applicant's here to speak.
Thank you very much for that, Jane. Yes, we do. Is it Atik?
It is.
Atik, yes. You've got 5 minutes, Atik, to tell us about this application, or do you, whatever you like to say, yeah? Thank you.
As I said, my name's Atik. I had some technical difficulties, and so I'm using my sister's catheter. As you can see, it's myself. Thanks, firstly, for giving me the opportunity to speak regarding my application. So my application was sent back in November, 24th of November 2020. And since then, I've had like over 35 emails exchanged with Laura Bonds, who I must admit has been very helpful throughout. So the main reason for my application was to accommodate my disabled mother. And my mother has very limited mobility and difficulty in getting around the house. Furthermore, due to the medication she has taken, she must use the bathroom frequently. My intention when purchasing this property on Manor Street, so I could carry out the necessary renovation works and include a wet room downstairs within the extension to accommodate my mother, as I said, and give her the freedom of the kitchen, as a current property that we are residing in has a very small, very small kitchen. Moreover, this house is also 2 doors down from my brother's house. This will allow my mother to freely move between both properties without having to travel very far, allowing her to feel a sense of self-sufficiency. Throughout the course since November, like I said, there's been a lot of emails exchanged with myself and Laura. I have been more than willing to compromise with Laura and come to an agreement. Originally, my plans were 5 meters. I spoke to Laura and she advised we may have to come up with a compromise as 5 meters may be too deep. So straight away, I had sent an email and got the plans amended and got it down to 4 meters as per the regulations. Also, down the road, a friend of mine who lives, Carl, he lives on number 67 Manor Street. And about a year and a half ago, his application and his extension was 3.7 meters back, which is 0.3 difference to mine. And I could see it was approved without any issues, and it was all fine. I would also like to add on 43 Manor Street, the neighbours, they're on a bit of a hill, and they're slightly higher up to mine, which I feel has maybe lesser of an impact. Also, I could see a tree there, which obviously that's more of a civil issue. I was also willing to reduce the roof, which was on the plans, to a flat roof, so that will reduce the light, and hopefully that will combat the issue Laura was said. So each stage, I've been more than willing to compromise at each stage that as Laura has been emailing me. Finally, Angela and Andy have been very good neighbours with my brother, who lives next door to them. And obviously we've had very good relationships with them. I was speaking to them regarding the issue of my planning and etc. And they were very sympathetic in regards to why I'm carrying out this planning application, which again, I've got a growing family. I've just had a baby girl in December, and mainly to accommodate, again, the wet room, which will be built downstairs for my disabled mother. I was speaking to Angela in regards to the holly tree, that she had concerns that the roots may be coming into my garden and that might cause an issue. As Laura said to myself, that's more of a civil issue, but I was more than willing to work with my neighbour in regards to that holly tree that she was referring to. Again, I don't want to be upsetting any neighbours, and I don't want to be causing any issues. And that was the reason for my application. And also, I don't think when I did amend my plans, the neighbour was aware of the 4 meters amended plans, because I think she was saying, oh, I won't just thought it was 5 meters. Again, we've got really good relationships with the neighbours, my brother has, and myself. And again, thank you once again for giving me the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Atik. Can I ask Alex to comment first? Alex, just like to add one thing before you say anything. Whenever we build disabled bathrooms, or people apply for bathrooms for disabled people, we are always lenient. this is a 4 meter deep, and there is obviously a bathroom mentioned on the plans. I'm just curious, why are we so strict with this one? Yeah.
Yes, in this case, there is a the property is set back from the neighbouring house, and therefore from the neighbouring house's side, the extension would be 5.2 meters rather than 4.2 meters, and that's the dimension that we measure, rather than from how far the extension projects back. It's how far it projects back from the neighbouring house that it impacts on.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Well, can I just? Do we have anybody to speak? Jane, sorry, I can't see anybody's hands. So.
Yeah, we've got Councillor Amma and Councillor Iqbal.
Right. Okay. Well, I can't see anybody's hand up, so I'll ask Councillor Amma to come in first, as this is in his ward. Councillor Amma.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Reading from the report, the design and everything else is above board. It's just the and listening to the applicant who's been talking with Laura for the past 10 months. He's been working with Laura to try to come to some sort of agreement, and they have with the design and everything. They have come to some sort of agreement which is above board. So now to go for approval of this application.
Councillor Iqbal.
Yeah, Chairman, I noticed Alex's hand has gone up, but can I just ask him a question before I second the application? Alex, the report says that it's that infamous 45-degree rule and that it has an overbearing impact. To what extent is it overbearing? Is it a significant impact, or is it just overbearing? Because I can't see the words significant in the report. So I'm just wondering whether you can help me on that first, please.
There isn't, from the point of view of determining impacts, there isn't anything in the guidance regarding it being significant or not. In this case, obviously an impact of 1.2 meters is something that we would determine to be significant. However, significance is only in, do you mean significance in relation to whether or not it's is significant to policy?
Yeah.
In these cases, it's not just that it's a significant departure from policy, it's also that it's a substantial risk of costs if there were to be a complaint to the Ombudsman, because we would be ignoring our guidance essentially, and it would be resulting in an unacceptable impact on the neighbouring property. So that is in this case, it would be something that would be a significant risk of costs if there were to be a complaint made to the Ombudsman, and therefore it would need to be referred to Policy and Resources if the committee is minded to approve it.
Okay, I'm going to second the application, Chairman, but just in terms of the issue around the guidance on the 45-degree rules on the issue of costs, Alex, I mean, clearly there are mitigating circumstances that allow committee, and for argument's sake, let's say this went to policy committee, and if policy committee were minded to approve it, then the same risk applies there, but that's the end of the matter as far as the council are concerned. If the policy committee make that decision, end of. So what I'm trying to tease out of you is that what are the mitigating circumstances where, and I know there are mitigating circumstances, but you know, I've had a long day and they're not coming to my mind straight away, which is why I'm relying on your professional expertise to help me. What are the mitigating circumstances? Because we quite clearly heard that this is an application for a disabled facilities grant, which is administered by the council to help deal with a disabled person and improve their quality of life. Balance that against some impact to the next door neighbour. Where's the reasonableness test applied here? Can you just help me on that, please?
I, I don't think that is something that can be balanced against impact on the neighbour. It could be balanced against something like visual impact, but in terms of loss of light to a neighbour, that's not something that we could balance that against.
Okay. I think we're going to have this argument this evening, Chairman. We're not going to get anywhere. So I'm happy to second it and would ask colleagues to support this genuine application.
Okay, all those in favour of approving this application, please show your hand. Or can you, Jane, call them out, please?
Yes, Chairman. If you're in favour of approving, please say 4. If you're against. Councillor Adam.
4.
Councillor Ahmed.
4.
Councillor Ali.
4.
Councillor Amma.
4.
Councillor Aslam.
4.
Councillor Cooney.
4.
Councillor Iqbal.
4.
Councillor Mcgowan.
4.
Councillor Saqib.
4.
Councillor Shaw.
Against.
Councillor Tennant.
4.
Councillor Wicks.
4.
Okay, that's approved, Chairman.
Right, thank you for that, Jane. So this application is approved. Moving on to next application, that is for erection of 2-storey side extension.
Chairman, sorry, just to be clear, it's a recommendation of approval to Policy and Resources Committee. So the applicant will have the opportunity to speak at Policy. Just wanted that to be made clear.
Sorry, Jane. Alex didn't tell me that. And I've no councillor.
He did. Sorry, Chairman, he did before you went to the vote.
If he's done it, then fair enough. I might have missed it somehow. Then it will go to Policy and Resources. If he hasn't, then
Chairman, I'd much rather listen to Mrs. Watson. She did say it would go, so I'm content with what Jane says. But I did hear Alex say it would go to P&R actually to his defence.
Sorry, I missed it. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. It will go to Policy and Resources, and it will get sorted there. Thank you. Next application is for a 2-storey side extension and a single-storey extension to front at 130 Beaufort Street, Nelson. My understanding is this is not my area. So I haven't been to the property, so I don't know exact the layout of the extension. But my understanding is this one will not go to Policy and Resources if approved. Can I ask George or whoever, Councillor Zafar Ali, to come in from that end of the world?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I'm happy to come in on this item. I've looked at the plans, Chairman. The property is in a unique spot in the sense that the street landscape, so to speak, is not generally consistent. There are different types of property in the vicinity of this particular applicant's property. In fact, a couple of doors up just from this site, there is a similar a completed extension, which is very similar to the one that we're dealing with here in the index application. In fact, on Langholm Street, there's also one which goes way beyond the boundary building line. Other than the one objection, so to speak, from a neighbouring property, it doesn't look like there's anything else from the locality. And I'm not surprised. Generally speaking, the neighbourhood's very friendly insofar as development goes. And personally speaking, I've looked at the measurements. I've been out to the site. I'm happy to propose approval on the basis that there are several other examples in the area of similar developments, Chairman, and I'm hoping I can count on colleagues' support on that issue.
I'll second that from the chair. Jane, do we have any speakers? Can you see anybody hand up?
Councillor Ahmed.
Councillor Ahmed, please.
Yeah, happy to support this application. In terms of the particular properties and the extensions in the vicinity of this property, I am familiar with these Hindford. I've visited, I've seen this property in the past, not on this occasion, but have seen the site. I've seen some of the neighbouring properties as well in the past. And as Councillor Zafar Ali has pointed out, they are quite a lot of the properties are of different shapes and sizes, and quite a few of them have had extensions done to them properties to various degrees. So I don't think there's a particular concern for this, for the simple reason, in my view, is because of the particular plot on for this site, which is a decent size. So I'm happy to support it. Thank you.
Right, thank you for that. Councillor Zafar Ali, do you want to come back in?
No, I'm happy with the comments. Thank you, Councillor Ahmed. Happy to move to the vote with your permission, Chairman. Thank you.
Right, okay, thank you. All those in favour of approving this application, please, Jane, if you can take their names.
Okay, do you want me to take the names, or if there's anybody against?
Yeah, if you want to do it that way.
If there's anybody against, it'll save me going through the names. That's the only reason. If everybody's in favour, if that's okay with you, Chairman.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll take that as approved. Thank you, everyone. And next item is 6B, appeals. We've got, it says one appeal outstanding and one that has been dismissed. But I believe there is another appeal gone in for 174 Railway Street, Nelson. So we've got two appeals outstanding. One is for Vernon Street next to Unity Hall and one on Railway Street. The one that has been dismissed is for Palantine Working Men's Club, and that is basically south of town centre, nothing else. It's a simple rule. Are we okay to note these and move on?
Yeah, move item B and number 7, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
Chairman,
yeah.
Can I come in, Mr. Zafar?
Yeah.
Sorry, my line kind of broke up there. Were you talking about enforcement matters?
Councillor Iqbal have just moved them. He's proposed that we note them and move on.
That's fine. I just want to raise a separate issue similarly on enforcement, if that's okay.
Is it on the agenda, Councillor Zafar Ali?
I can't see it on the agenda, but I think it's important that I make the point.
Go on, then I'll allow it. Okay.
It's in relation to the land at Vernon Street, Chairman, by the Unity Hall. I just want to thank officers for working on this issue, in particular Julie, who's been kind enough to follow up the issue in regards to the cleanup of this land. This land has been in a dire state for over a year and a half now. Residents have been constantly contacting me. I'm sure they've also contacted you, Chairman, being a member of Nelson Town Council. And I just want to thank officers for following up this issue, and it looks like things are now moving, which I'm sure residents will be happy to see in relation to the cleanup operation. So thank you, Julie, for that, for coming back to me on that issue. That's all, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Item 8, capital programme. I believe we've got some money left from last year, and that's been deallocated. I believe there's no bids in, so we'll leave this for the next month just to see if any. Sorry, Councillor Iqbal, I didn't see your hand up first.
No, sorry, Chair. I was just going to second what you were moving in terms of noting it.
Right, okay, that's fine. Okay, thank you. Moving on to next item, item 9, reopening of High Street. Can I ask Julie for you to please give us some update and tell us all about this?
Yes, Chair, just the update. It says in paragraph 1 of the report, we were asking for, we were hoping there would be a 3-month extension to the timescale, and the government has now actually agreed that. So we have until the end of June to spend the money. In terms of the rest of the report, I understand on the future plans that Briarfield are also interested as well in a click and collect as is being proposed for Nelson. So it's something that councillors may wish to look at that jointly, because there is quite a lot of work, as I understand, to get something like that up and running, but the two towns could potentially benefit from that. But apart from that, it's just as set out in the report. Obviously, there has been a subcommittee, and I'm sure sort of some members of that subcommittee would be able to provide more information.
Councillor Zaffarali.
Thank you, Chairman. First of all, thank you to Mike Williams for putting the report together, in particular in relation to the virtual High Street initiative, which myself and Councillor Yvonne Tennant had a lengthy discussion about at the last working group meeting along with Mr. Emery. It's good to see that progress is being made on this virtual High Street. There have been photographers that I've seen personally coming up and down Nelson's High Street, so businesses are going to be approached with up-to-date, fresh images being taken to try and boost this e-portal, so to speak. And I'm glad to see that Briarfield can see hopefully some advantages and benefits from having such a facility. The report at paragraph 4 mentions a similar virtual high street being set up in Colne. And yeah, I've seen the setup, which is great. So fantastic efforts being made across the board. And I think it's important, Chairman, to re-highlight the fact that these efforts are trying to engage not only with businesses but also with the folk of Nelson, to try and give them an additional avenue to shop locally. And that's the vision that I've shared with colleagues. And thank you to support from obviously Yvonne and Nicholas on this issue. But it's good to see that progress is being made, and hopefully there'll be further good news on this particular item in a future meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Zaffarali. Jen, is there anybody else to speak?
Councillor Ahmed.
Councillor Ahmed, please.
Yeah, thank you. I think this is fantastic for Nelson and for going forward for Briarfield and other areas of Pendle. Just a quick question. At number 6, it's asking us to decide what type of website we want for Nelson. And the question I want to ask is saying we need to decide whether we want to focus on the COVID safe or a non-grant funded one like Colne, which is to do more with the commercial, more promotional side of it. Question for Julie, could we do both at the same time?
I think the issue at the COVID safe was because of the funding, and the message has to come across very strongly if the European funding's used. But I don't see why you can't use both types of funding. You will still need to have that message across throughout the website. So I think you sort of, you're looking at sort of the joint messages, but just the one website funded from two sources. I'm sure something could be sorted along those lines.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea if we could do both. Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else?
Chairman, can I come back?
Councillor Zaffarali, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Just a quick one. I think it's also probably important for the working group to meet again to try and deal with the finer print. I can see Yvonne nodding there in the background. We obviously got telepathy as one of our additional skills. But in terms of trying to move this forward, yes, Chairman, maybe officers could inform Mike Williams that the working group would like to meet at some point. I'm available throughout March. I'm hoping colleagues are too, so we can deal with the finer print and the finer detail in relation to what sort of site it is. Of course, the working group have had discussions around the commercial approach to try and engage businesses as well as the public. But of course, the working group will need to meet, look at the finer intricacies and the practicalities around that. But I am eager to meet as a working group again, Chairman. So maybe officers could just pencil that in or let Mike know that we need to meet. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Zaffarali. If nobody else wants to speak, then that was the last item on the agenda. Thank you very much for joining the meeting. Stay safe and good night.